Hi, I'm Hafsa. I'm the host of Before the BFP, and today we have a special guest, Rebecca. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi. Rebecca, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name's Rebecca Bizzano. I am married. I'm actually going to be celebrating our 11th wedding anniversary on Saturday.
Wow.
I know, it's a long time.
Yeah.
I have a little boy who's 4 years old named Santino. He is autistic, nonverbal, and I'm a stay-at-home mom slash homemaker. Love being at home with him. And I'm just getting through day by day, running around with a little toddler.
Yeah, that's a full-time job,
Yes,
definitely.
it absolutely is.
Yeah. Do you want to jump right into your story?
Sure. I met Paul in 2010 at Rico's in West Hartford. We always joke that we were the very last two people that ever met at a bar. And it was also a very special meeting him as well. I had just turned 24 February 11th, and I met him February 19th, which is his mom's birthday.
Destiny.
And I know it's really, I always find that so fascinating when certain dates align, and it just always makes me feel like it's meant to be. And another special thing about it is that my sister was also there when I met him, which just it every time I think of the memory, it always just warms my heart knowing um, that she was there as well. And she, when she was joking, being like, "Oh my gosh, you've only been here 5 minutes and you got a phone number." So we always just laugh at that. And and then we dated for about 4 years. We got married in 2014, and it's just it's just been how it is ever since. We've just always been together.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Such a cute story. Kind of
Thank
reminds me
you.
of How I Met Your Mother, if you've ever seen it.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I love that show. It's such a
Me
good
too.
show.
Yeah. Do you want to jump into your fertility story? When did you guys
Sure.
decide to start trying?
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what's funny? I was always that I loved being an aunt. First and foremost, I loved being an aunt. And I always thought that I was going to be the girl that just, I love kids. I was an educator and I taught preschool, beginner band. So I was always in the education system and I loved kids. I think I just always knew I knew that I was eventually always going to be a mother, but I always felt like, oh, I don't want a kid. I deal with kids all day. It's too much for me. Who wants them? I love my freedom. I want to be able to come and go as I please.
Yeah.
And then I would always joke with Paul and say, "Oh, when you turn 40, because he's about like 9 years older than me, he said, when you
Oh,
turn 40, that's when I'll give you a baby." And and then right when he turned 40, he was like, "Well, come on, you told me at 40 you were gonna go." And I think and then I was like, "Oh, well, I'm not ready yet." And I felt it was so important for me to be ready, and I wasn't ready. I still felt, it's an odd thing to say, but I still felt very immature
yeah.
to bring a baby into this world. I think I was so all over the place and just working and enjoying life and not having those responsibilities because once that baby is there, that's it. Like that's the biggest responsibility for the rest of your life. And
Yes.
I personally felt that I wasn't mature enough to have a baby at all. And there one year, I had decided to stay home, and I had gotten laid off from my job because of budget cuts in the education system. So
Rough.
I know. And it happened to me twice. And,
Oh my
I was
goodness.
always the low end. And they were like, well, we're sorry, yada, yada, yada. So I decided to stay home and I focused on doing theater. I love doing community theater, singing, dancing, acting. I love being on stage. And that was my focus. But when I was home, you know, I would be cleaning, but I remember watching the show called Midwives, and it's a show on BBC, but it's also on Netflix, and it's about these midwives from the 50s and just, knocking on the door, going, midwife calling, and just, them delivering the babies. And I remember sobbing, like every episode, I was sobbing, and it was so emotional for me. And I remember Paul coming home, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I'm ready to have that baby.
Oh.
I'm ready to have a baby. And he was like, okay, great. Like, let's get started. And but it was such a surreal moment for me because I really wanted there to be a sign for me to say this is the right time to have a baby. It's for me it's similar to when you're getting married and you're trying on all these bridal dresses and you're just like, oh, which one am I going to love? And you just know that you try one on and you're like, this is the one. And I really wanted to have that same feeling when it came to having a baby. And I got that feeling. I think it was about, I'm trying to think of the year. I know I had, you know what? I wrote it down.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. It was 2017. So we waited a few years, um, you know, after we had gotten married. And in 2017, that's when we started our trying to conceive journey. And we tried for about a year naturally, like anybody else does. Me thinking there's no complications, there's nothing wrong with me. My mom was when she was having kids, she was so fertile, and my sister had no problem
Problems.
getting pregnant. And it would take her a few months, but it wasn't like years and years she was trying. And when she made the decision to have a baby, it would be like, oh, 6 months later or 9 months later. And but for me, it just kept taking forever and forever. And I was just getting very frustrated with myself. And in my head, I kept thinking, I am such a cliche because the girl who said, oh, I never want to have a baby, I love my freedom, is the one that's having the biggest trouble having the baby. Where the ones that are like, oh, laid back and this, like those shows that you watch, and it's like the one that really wants the baby has
Have
trouble
the baby.
having the baby, and the one that never all of a sudden poof gets
Yep.
pregnant. um so that was really, really, you know disheartening for me. And that's when I realized, okay, something's going on with my body. And I never thought it was Paul. I always had a gut feeling that it was me, that there was something wrong with me.
There was nothing
And
wrong with you.
yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's But that feeling where you're just like, something in my body is not clicking. My body should be able to do this, and it's not doing the one thing that I want it to be doing, which is getting pregnant. And I had a cycle tracker. I did the ovulation strips. It told me when I was ovulating. I did that, I did it. I tried the basal body temperature at one point, and which was a little confusing for me at first. I was like, what? I said, what do you mean a temperature? Like, what does this mean? But
And I'd never wake up at the same time every day. I'd move too much before I
exactly,
did it.
exactly. They're like, you have to do it at the same time every single day. And I'm like, this just isn't going to happen. Um, so I only did that for a little bit.
Same.
And then I went to my gynecologist, and he was great. He said, well, give it a few more months. And then if a few more months isn't going, then we'll do, he goes, just, what they always say, relax, don't stress about it. No big, it'll happen. And I'm like, it's not happening. Like,
I've been trying.
we've been trying, and it's not just going to happen like that for me. So then a few months go by. I call my gynecologist again saying it's just not happening. So they refer me to CARS, which is Center of Reproductive Services, in Farmington.
Yep.
And they're great. I had gone to Dr. Benediva.
Yep.
And he's really, really wonderful. He's won all these awards. He was fantastic with me. And he was like exactly the type of doctor that I needed. Somebody that was to the point, no nonsense, and was like, this is what we're going to do for you. But then it took even longer. And the blood tests. Then they had to like test the fallopian tubes by putting the blue dye up there. And you're just
The HSG.
oh, like that feeling was just like, it was
painful.
It was painful. I was
mild
so uncomfortable.
Cramping.
Oh my God. Mild cramping. Don't worry about it. Just take some Advil. No.
Yeah, that does not help.
I need like a sedative if you're going to like do that to me ever again. Yeah. I still think they don't even understand what mild cramping even is.
They've never gone through it. I'm convinced that 99% of IVF doctors have not experienced the things that they do to people. Or our reproductive endocrinologists, not IVF doctors.
I 100% agree with you. It was excruciating pain.
Yes.
And I just remember I was crying.
Yeah.
And, Dr. Benediva was like, we can stop anytime. And I was so adamant. I said, I want to know what's wrong with me. I said, nope. Keep going. I will get through it. Just do it. Yeah. And they did it. Everything was fine in that area. But what they noticed was that I had a heart-shaped uterus. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? And in my head, and I always use humor.
Yeah.
To like
trauma
hide
response.
the trauma, this, like if I'm feeling sad. So I'm like, oh, is it a heart-shaped uterus because I love so much? The doctor's just like, no.
Of course, you got the no-nonsense doctor that isn't going to laugh.
No-nonsense that's just like, didn't go along with what I was doing. And I was like, oh, okay. And
yeah.
But, so then they're like, okay, let's do Clomid. And we'll do a few IUIs. And that still wasn't working. And just to backtrack, I had diminished ovarian reserve, which means DOR, which means a very low egg quality. And, and how you read the articles and you're like, oh, well, your eggs were being made while you were in your mom, while your mom was like growing you in your belly. So like I looked at my mom and was like, thanks.
It's your fault.
It's your fault. You gave me low egg quality. What the heck's the matter with you?
Unfair, because she gave your sister good egg quality.
I know. And she was like, you know what? Whatever with this one. And it'll be
sounds
all
like my mom. Yeah.
I feel like that's how all moms are.
Yeah.
And especially with the daughters.
Yeah.
So when I found that out, I was very confused because I didn't understand, 2017, I was early 30s, healthy, I wasn't a smoker. Yeah, I drank occasionally, like social drinking. Yeah. But it's, I worked out, I was healthy. So I didn't understand why this was happening to me. And it's just one of those things where your body just is doing this it's just, that unexplained infertility that you're just having that low egg quality.
Yeah.
So I was very down about that because I just all of a sudden said to myself, this is the worst thing that could happen. Now like that I really, really want this baby. Now it's just not going to happen in a snap like I thought it would for my mom, and come to find out my mom's mom, my grandmother, she actually told me that she had some fertility issues as well. But, like years ago, they didn't even like know about anything. But she told me, she goes, well, your grandmother had some, some fertility issues too, probably. And I was like, oh man, I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, great.
Genetic gold mine right there.
I know, my God. And so then I did the IUIs. They didn't work. Did more IUIs. Didn't work. So now I'm at a total of 4 IUIs.
Ooh.
None of them working. And I was so hopeful for each one, and it's not, I didn't need to take any blood tests to see if I was all of a sudden like I would get my period. And it would just be devastating. I think the first one I was like, okay, no problem. Maybe the second one didn't take. Then, then all of a sudden you go to your fourth one and they're like, oh, this isn't working. And you're just so upset.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what else to do. And that's when Dr. Benediva had recommended IVF. I had no idea. Like you hear about it on shows and everything.
Yeah.
You're like, what exactly is this? We're going to inject hormones in you. We're going to do an egg retrieval. We're going to put the egg and the sperm together to fertilize. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to have to come to even more appointments now. And it's just like, I almost like just wanted to give up.
It's not what you signed up for.
No, it's definitely not what you know what? And it's so sad. I don't think it's what anybody signed up for. And I always say I would not wish this on my worst enemy because it really is just so emotionally draining. It's just your blood, sweat, and tears is just fixated on making a baby. And that's all you think about all day. Even when I was at work, that's all I would think about. I would have to come in late to work for appointments. And, and the principal, very understanding. She was great. The principal, vice principal were fantastic with understanding that I was trying to have a baby. I have to go now through IVF. They were wonderful. There were some people, though, who, were not very supportive and would talk behind my back and saying, I don't know why she has to go until late to all these, for all these appointments. Da, 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 da. But I would then have some people that would stick up for me and be like, she's trying to have a baby. Shut up.
I don't know why it affected any of those people in any way.
And all of these people that affected were women. And you would think, aren't we about women empowerment, supporting each other? Nope. They just weren't really getting it.
I think it's hard for people who haven't been through it or even struggled the tiniest bit. Like you mentioned, some people just get pregnant.
Yep.
It's really hard for them to understand because they wanted something and they got it, or they didn't even want it and it happened for them. So they don't understand the longing, all the appointments. No one understands who hasn't been through it. They don't understand what a time suck it is.
Oh, it is.
And not just physically, like going to the appointments, but emotionally, you're thinking about it all the time.
It's 24/7. It's just so.
Sorry, that was my phone went off. I thought I was talking to him.
It's just so draining.
Yeah.
And I just remember, even sometimes crying in the bathroom at school when I was teaching because all of a sudden I would get my period and I'd be like, I couldn't catch a break. And so we did the IVF cycles. I'm pumping up with the hormones. You have to have 3 follicles in order for them to do an egg retrieval. So I had to do 2 cycles. The first cycle, I ended up getting 2 embryos.
Oh.
And the first one was a failed transfer. It just didn't take. Yeah. And I said, okay, now they're not going now this embryo isn't going where it should be going. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to do this right now. That's what I picture, the embryos being like, oh, no,
thank you.
No, thank you. Not right now. This is gross. And,
I don't want that heart-shaped uterus.
Exactly. And then the second time that we did the transfer, I ended up with a chemical pregnancy. Oh. Which is, and you know what I find very interesting? I feel, and you may agree with this, but I feel like chemical pregnancies aren't really talked about enough.
They're not. I literally was just interviewing someone else today and they were talking about the same thing.
And I feel like this is what I personally felt, that I couldn't really grieve my chemical pregnancy because it wasn't a over 6 weeks miscarriage. It was about 4 weeks because I had to do like the 10-day wait, and when they insert the embryo, you're already 2 weeks pregnant.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. You're already 2 weeks pregnant, and which I found very, very cool. Yeah. So, they already, you automatically, like, when you're starting on your meds, you don't drink, none of that. Like, you just want to keep the body nice and healthy. And, then you do the 10-day wait after 10, which is the longest 10 days of my life. And I get so, like, and it's during that time where you would be getting your period. So every single time I would go to the bathroom, I'd be like, oh my God, please don't let there be like any period. Yeah. And after the 10 days, you take a blood test and your HCG levels will tell you if you're pregnant or not. And
Cars would tell me not to test until I got my beta.
Yes, they would tell me too. They would say, don't do it. Don't
test. I did it every single time.
And oh wow.
I suck.
It's so tough. And I would force myself not to do a pregnancy test because I'm like, I just don't want to be disappointed. Yeah. And I think like one time I did it and it came out not pregnant. I think it was the first time when it was just a failed transfer and nothing stuck. But for chemical pregnancies, I almost felt guilty for grieving because it's not like anything has formed.
That doesn't matter.
It's still just cells. And it, and I feel that, for anybody that's listening to this, and if you have had a chemical pregnancy, it's okay to grieve. It's okay. It's a miscarriage under 5 weeks. So it doesn't matter how many weeks you're pregnant, a loss is a loss. And that's what I tell every single person, no matter how many weeks they are, especially if it's that chemical pregnancy week, those like 1 to 5 weeks. It's just, it's so upsetting. And I feel like I didn't allow myself to feel anything. I just said, okay, moving on to the next. And then I did a second cycle, but that had to get canceled because I wasn't getting any follicles. Nothing was growing. So they just decided to do an IUI instead. So I was like, okay. I was so upset because I knew it wasn't going to work. You know how you know. And I'm like, this is not going to work on me, but I will do it because I want to make sure I do all the options. Mm-hmm. So that didn't work. Then I went on to do another round of IVF. And with this round, we did something different. We ended up doing ICSI, where they took the sperm and injected it into the egg instead of having the sperm in the egg in a petri dish and they kind of just come together on their own, organically. But like how you met. Yeah, just like how we met. And instead of that, for the ICSI, they just take the sperm, they have like in the needle, and they just put it right in the egg to see if it fertilizes. Okay. And for the very first one, we ended up getting 10 eggs, but 2 embryos. And then for that final IVF cycle that I did, I ended up getting 7 eggs. I was devastated because I said, now nothing's going to happen. These eggs aren't going to do anything. And I was so upset. I remember after the retrieval, I was crying. And the doctor, and it's not always your doctor doing the egg retrieval. It will be the doctor that is on call to be doing that, to do that surgery, the procedure. And he was very wonderful, very kind. And he was like, this is good. And I said, but everybody else is getting 30 eggs. How am I just getting 7? He goes, it's okay. He goes, let's just take it one step at a time. And I'm going to make sure that this happens for you. Do not worry. And he was so sweet. And you think like, well, don't make promises you can't keep, buddy. But, he was so adamant saying, no, we're going to get you pregnant. Do not stress.
That is so kind. And the first time I've heard that, because they never promise anything ever.
He was just so, he was so wonderful.
Who was
And
that? I need to go back to him.
God, who was it? Oh, his last name started with a G.
I'll Google him
Dr.
later.
Growth or something like that. He reminded me of like a bald Tom Hanks / Mr. Rogers. That's what he reminded me of. And he was so sweet and so gentle. And then I think I ended up having him again for my embryo transfer, and he stopped the transfer.
Oh, why? Oh,
Because he was
found
like,
your
I'm
man.
not.
Oh, I don't know if
That's
this is
my man.
illegal. I
That's
don't know if
him.
this is allowed or not. Oops, sorry, Dr. Crow. Don't
That's
sue
okay,
me.
Raptor. That's okay. We love you.
Yeah.
He was so great. I think that was the guy that did. I know he definitely did my transfer. I can't remember if he was the one that did my egg retrieval. But anyways, when I did my transfer for that final cycle, it was definitely him. And he stopped the transfer. And he says, no, we're done. We're stopping it. And I was like, oh my God. He goes, you don't have enough. You have to have a full bladder. So you have to go in to that transfer with a full bladder.
Why?
I think it goes in better.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And I think that's all that they really said to me. And I think I had to pee so bad that I just didn't care. But but my bladder just wasn't good enough for that transfer. And he was so wonderful. And I thank God that he said, no, I'm not doing this right now. Get this girl some more juice. And I was brought back to one of the rooms, and he said, I want you to drink this whole juice. I'm going to go and do another transfer, and then I'm going to come back to you. And he goes, and he looked at me and he goes, do not pee. And I was like, okay, yes, doctor.
Yes.
And I had to pee so bad. And I went in, then they brought me back in, and he was so wonderful. And he was like, what kind of music do you like? And I said, oh, I love Lady Gaga. And I remember them putting on from the movie that she was in at the time, A Star Is Born, that song Shallow.
Yeah.
And it just was so like, thinking back, it's such like a surreal moment. And for that final transfer, that's when I had Santino.
That's amazing. It sounds like you felt something. Like,
I definitely felt such a difference. And even before I had with Santino, when I had that one chemical pregnancy, I ended up having a second chemical pregnancy after that. With the third cycle that I had to do. And then, but then by the time when I did Santino's transfer, I had the mindset of, I just don't care anymore. I was so disheartened in a way that I was like, it's so sad to say like, and I don't care, but I was like, whatever, it is what it is. I don't know what else to do at this point, because he was my final embryo. Santino was the last embryo.
How many embryos did you get out of the last?
I got 2.
Oh, okay.
2 embryos out of the final cycle, because then with to backtrack again, so we did the ICSI, and then we did embryo glue, which is just another thing that they do that you can have during the transfer, the embryo transfer. And we also did PG.
The genetic testing.
Yep, there you go, girl. Yes, the PGT testing. And we had 3 embryos that had gotten tested, but 2 were good to go. And so that's when we had the final 2. And the final one was little Santino, ready to go.
He's perfect.
Thank you. My little sweet man. It's like you can't imagine like what life would be like without him, so I always think of that final transfer and being like, oh my gosh, like this doctor, like he made it happen. Like if he hadn't stopped that transfer midway, I don't know if Santino would have like, and knowing that the embryo even had a name, like I wouldn't know like if Santino would have even have been here. You know, it was just such a surreal moment. Lady Gaga's playing in the background. Like it was so, it was just, you know, and at the time I was obsessed with The Star Is Born. I was obsessed with the music, the movie. I couldn't get enough of the story. So just hearing Shiloh playing in the background and just, you know, being like, okay, let's see what happens here. And then it stuck.
That's such a
But
good
all that
magical.
blood, sweat, and tears, it's just, you know, and it took us 4 years to end up pregnant throughout all the hormones, the IUIs, the IVFs, the I give up, you know, like I just didn't like even, I don't even know what we would have done. Like if Santino had like hadn't like stuck to me, I think I would have just, I think I would have just needed to take a long break. And I think back being like, yep, that's what I probably would have done. I probably would have taken a break and been like, you know what? It's just not meant to be. And I'll take a break and then maybe I'll, you know, eventually get back into it. Thankfully, I didn't have to think that way because
Yeah.
Santino ended up sticking.
Hmm.
And then 9 months later, well, actually, 8 months because he was born just about 37 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I had COVID
Uh,
while I was giving birth. And
that's awful.
I told that doctor, I said, I am not having a mask on. It's not happening. I said, I'm not going to, I said, you're messing with the wrong girl. It's not going to happen. And the doctor said, oh no, no, you don't need to have the mask on. It's fine. I said, yeah, thank you. And Paul's like, oof. He goes, I hope he knows what he's dealing with. He goes, because I'm like such like a loud Italian Irish girl that like, this is how I'm going to do it.
Where did you give birth, if you don't mind me asking? Just
No,
because
I
I'm
don't
curious.
mind at all. I gave birth at St. Francis Hospital.
Oh, okay. I gave birth at UConn, and the day I gave birth to Idris, they they didn't know this either, but like that was the day they lifted restrictions and you could finally have visitors.
Oh wow.
When I don't know, no one knew. The nurses didn't know, so I didn't have any visitors except my husband, and he didn't leave the whole
Yeah.
time, which was fine.
Same.
But
Yeah, I was like, they had
yeah,
like a
so
it's
we got
funny
lucky.
looking back. Oh, I know. And I think like nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now you can have visitors, or now this, you know, I had a big red circle dot on my door
Oh.
for
Oh.
to say, this woman has COVID, enter at your own risk.
Yes.
And, you know, but you know what? All those antibodies, Santino didn't end up, you know, because they tested him for
That's
COVID
amazing.
and he didn't have COVID. He was 6 pounds, like 3 ounces. He was a
Oh,
little
wow.
thing, all skin and bones. Because, like, you know, that last month is like,
Maybe.
them nice and chubaloo, you know? And
Yeah.
he just, I mean, you could see like his little muscle. My husband has like, my husband, he's, you know, he's got like some muscles and he just, and all you could see is like, I'm like, oh my God, he has your arms. I could see his deltoids.
I can picture Paul's arms right now, actually, and I'm picturing that on a baby Santino. It's hilarious.
Yes, funny?
So funny.
I can't. And that's exactly how he looked. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that I had before I had those, before I had the transfer with Santino, I had a hysteroscopy, which is where they clean out the uterus.
Okay.
Of like polyps and
Oh,
everything.
did you have any
And
polyps?
I can't remember if I did or didn't. I really can't. I think I was in such a whirlwind
Yeah.
at that point of trying to conceive. I was in such a whirlwind.
So much was
would
going
say
on.
so much was going on. I said, do whatever you got to do. Sure.
Yeah.
Clean me out. Like, give me a whole new uterus. I don't know what to tell you. Like, do something. So they, you know, they did what they had to do. And, you know, and I think because I had that done, that is how I think that's why Santino stuck.
I've heard that from some people that, like, they had, like, an HSG. I've never heard of a hysteroscopy before, though, but an
I think that's what
HSG.
it's called. I
No, no,
oh my
I
God, I
think you're
could be
right.
like,
I've never experienced it is
I
what I
could
mean to
be
say.
like talking out of my you know what. That's what I
No, you're fine.
know.
So, like, an HSG, if your fallopian tubes are blocked, it'll clear it out. That's what
Mhm.
people say. Because I used to spend all my time on Reddit and TikTok and
Mhm.
Instagram trying to figure this stuff out.
I know. I
But
know.
it, like,
Same.
will clear out your tubes, and you have, like, a higher chance of getting pregnant that next month.
And boom, and he's stuck. And I know my husband feels the same way as well. I get a little pissy about it because
They could have just
if
done it in the
they had
beginning.
just done that, listen, I whatever happened in the other cycles happened in the other cycles, but for that final cycle, after we did the PGT testing,
Mhm.
why didn't you just do it in the like before we did that embryo before Santino?
Yeah.
And my ex, I'm like, oh, then maybe I would have two by now, and
Yeah.
I'm like, but you know what? You can't like
You can't.
you can't think like that because it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to have Santino. He's so sweet, so affectionate, so loving. He's
Yeah.
my little Gemini baby, and he's got a lot of personality, this Gemini. And but and that's our journey. That's
Yeah.
that's how we got Santino, and a lot of twists and turns along the way, and a lot of tears and anger. And you know and Paul was good. He was great. He was very supportive. But I feel like there were times where like you're just not getting it. Like you
Yeah.
don't get it because he was great when they tested him. Grade A sperm, nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
But with me, of course it has to be me.
Yeah. It hurts
And
more.
it does hurt more because I'm like, oh well,
You gotta blame
it's
myself.
not you, it's me,
Yeah.
clearly,
Yeah.
literally. And I he was great with supporting me. He was wonderful, but I just felt like there were times where like you're not hearing me, you're not getting it. Like I feel like I'm not doing the one thing that somebody who wants to have a baby is able to do to get pregnant during that time. And it, there were some, and not everybody knows this. I'm like an open book, but I can also be a very private person as well.
Yeah.
And there were some really like dark moments that I was feeling. I mean, like this is never going to happen for me. And along this whole journey of trying to conceive, three of my sister-in-laws had gotten pregnant.
That's so hard. I've been there. I know exactly how you feel. Don't worry.
Very frustrating. And
You feel
and then,
happy for them, but sad for
oh,
yourself.
I was so happy for them, but I was still like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my uterus?
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, two out of the three sister-in-laws got pregnant again.
They looped you.
And I'm like, oh, like, why is this happening to me? And Paul and I had made a decision that if Santino's transfer had not worked out, we would have taken a break. And over the Christmas holidays, we would have just taken a vacation somewhere. Because I think just being around, when you might feel the same way during the holidays and any holidays that we're celebrating, when, all the kids are around and you're just the only one that's like, hi,
I'm barren.
Baron, Miss
Yeah.
Baron here. Nice to meet you. And
Yes.
it's sad and it's frustrating. And as much as you love your nieces and nephews, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's just not the same.
I completely understand. I have one of my sister-in-laws and I went through infertility at the same time, and we got pregnant at the same time. It's really funny.
That's really funny. Wow. Oh my
But
gosh.
another sister-in-law of ours has 6 kids at this point, and at this point, I'm trying to have my second kid and going through infertility again.
Mm-hmm,
And my
mm-hmm.
first sister-in-law that went through infertility with me, pregnant in 5 seconds. pregnant again. She's on her 3rd kid, and I'm like,
Oh
"What's
my gosh.
wrong with me? Why do I have to
Yeah.
deal with infertility every single time? Why can't
Oh,
I just randomly
that's
get
so
pregnant?"
frustrating. Mhm.
Yeah.
I get
So I
that.
understand.
I get that. And it's just it's the if you don't, and I know like we're always saying this, but if you have not gone through it, you have no idea what the devastation feels like. And,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I'm going through the same thing again. I'm
Yeah.
not getting pregnant, trying for this second baby. And I'm so nonchalant about it. It's a coping mechanism for me. Like humor is a
Yeah.
coping mechanism. Uh, being nonchalant is also a coping mechanism of mine. It's not the best one to have, but it's, being like, whatever. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be, but deep down inside, I'm like, I want to have another damn baby. Like,
Yeah.
where's the second baby? I want one. And just to, you know, I would say we've been trying for about a year naturally.
Yeah.
And, but the problem is, and we've already discussed this, is now trying to find the time
Yep.
to go and get these treatments done when you have a 4-year-old, autistic son who gets very overwhelmed at the doctors already. And when you're laying there and they're doing stuff to you, putting a probe up you, and they're like, like, what is going on, mom? And it's frustrating. And because you just want to have that appointment and just get it done, get it over with, not worry about any tantrums, nothing.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to work on right now, is figuring out how can we, like, what kind of schedule do we have to make for ourselves now for me to be able to go to these appointments and see what can be done. And we had tried after we had Santino, after, I would say, in that springtime,
Yeah.
like that following year, like during that spring, and we
2022.
had, yes, thank you. In 2022, I had gone back, and he was a baby still, so I could bring him wherever.
He was a mush.
And he was mushy potato. I call him
Yeah.
little potatoes, just laying there staring at me doing nothing.
Yeah.
And we tried, nothing was happening. The IVF just was not working, and it was just like injecting water into me. I felt no aggravation during the hormones, and no bloating, and just nothing that you would feel when going through IVF.
Your husband was
And
safe.
he was very safe. I wasn't like, he would bump into me and I'd be like, watch where you're going. What the hell's the matter with you? Don't check me.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, oh my God, please. I'm so sorry.
I didn't mean it.
And I'm already, and like a loud personality. So imagine me on these hormones when, like, somebody puts something down the wrong way, and I'm like, oh, you can't do nothing right in life. And I wasn't feeling any of that. I was fine. And I was like, something's not right. And it was because no follicles there was one big follicle that was growing, but they cannot do, and I know I had said this previously, uh, cars cannot do an egg retrieval without 3 follicles.
Yep.
Growing to a certain diameters.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so frustrating. And, and I'm still frustrated about it. I still don't know why my body's not, doing what it should be doing. I was like, oh, I know somebody went through IVF, and oh my God, she's pregnant with twins, and just like, it's nothing. And I'm like,
IVF is not a guarantee.
Love that mom. Good for her. I wish you nothing but beautiful baby dust and good vibes. But why not me? Like, what is wrong with me here? And so that's where we are now. And the frustration is still there, because I look at Santino, and I look at him and say to myself, like, you'd be such a good big brother, and he sees babies, and he knows to be so gentle with them. And like I had said, he's nonverbal, but he'll see a baby and just, and if we know this baby, he'll just go over and gently touch the shoulder, or like just like look at it and get so excited. And I'm like, oh my God, it'd be like so adorable if there was another baby in this household. It would be a lot of work.
It'd be worth it.
but it would be so worth it in the end. I would just, if I could just have one more, then I think our family would be complete. And if it's not meant to be, then I got my golden boy,
Yeah.
and that's fine with me as well. Ooh, my oh, my
I'll just run
headphones
out.
fell off. Oh my gosh, my headphones fell off.
That's how you know you're an emotional talker. You move your hands and your body.
Oh my God, it's so in me. It's just I've always been like that.
Me too. I'm holding my hands together so I don't wave them too much.
Feel free to use those hands.
I keep knocking into the microphone and then it makes this loud noise. Oh, of course
Is that what I'm hearing sometimes?
I'm sorry.
All of a sudden I hear boom. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I can't imagine what you're probably seeing. Like, I mean, I'm looking at myself and these hands are just going. But that's my fertility story. I'm so blessed every day to have Santino in our lives. After you give birth, and I'm sure you can agree with me on this, like you don't remember life without them. Like,
yeah,
you're just
you're right.
like, how could I have gone through all of these years and not have you in my life? Because you are just the freaking best thing that's ever happened to me.
That's my biggest regret in life, not having kids sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes think to myself, like, if I wasn't dumb and I'd tried sooner, would I just not have any issues and I'd be like all set with all my kids right now instead of dealing with this? Or
Same. I feel the same exact way. If I maybe started right after we got married, would things be a little different? I was a little bit younger. Would it have been easier? But I'm like, but you know what? I must have always had the low egg quality. So maybe nothing would have, happened. I always joke with Paul. I said, we should have just been trying while we were dating. Like who cares if we weren't married yet? Like we should have just been trying and trying. And, but for me, I'm like, oh, because I'm like I had said, I was always the girl that's like, no, I don't want a baby.
Me too.
I don't want one.
Yeah.
Why? They're nasty. I can't do this. I can't go get my nails done. I can't go shopping when I want to. I'm just with this potato all day.
Potato.
But this potato is the best potato in the world like when you give birth to it. It's such a surreal moment that you're just like, oh my God, like you're here. Look at you.
When my son was born, I remember he came out. He was this pasty white. He was born at 42 weeks and he was 6 pounds and 10 ounces. So he was tiny for the age that he was at. He was so tiny.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And they handed him to me and I was like, what is this thing? It looks like an alien with this big head, all white and pasty. And I looked at my husband and I was like, what is it? And they gave him to me and I just couldn't stop bawling. So I'm just crying my eyes out, holding him and wondering, what is this? And just, yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Funny story. When I gave birth to Santino, I didn't cry.
Yeah.
I think I was in a lot of shock.
That it actually finally happened?
That it actually finally happened. And I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I felt like a kid holding a baby. And I'm like, what do I do with this? I'm looking down at him like, I'm responsible for you for the rest of your life. Like, how do I take care of you? What do I do? Like, it was just, oh man, it was just such a surreal moment.
It really was.
So
You're
happy.
Yeah. He's not my favorite. Like, I love my kids equally, but he's the one that made me a mom. And
that's the, and that's just the best. And exactly, they made us moms. They gave us what we wanted, and I can't imagine my life without this little guy.
Yeah, my little potato.
Little potatoes.
Gosh. Yeah, you got me in my feels. I'm like trying not to cry right
Oh,
now, just
that's
remembering.
okay. I know, it's okay to cry. It's fine to cry. I'm holding in my tears too. I get
Yeah.
it. It's just,
I have the same
ugh,
problem you do. I have deflection and humor is my go-to, not crying. I'm not going to cry in front of
that's
people.
that's why we get along so well.
Yeah.
Like we'll cry like in the privacy like of our own homes and our but like I'm a very emotional person. I'm very sensitive,
Mhm, mhm.
but if I'm like trying to tell a story or something, I'm like, oh, let me put a little humor into it so nobody
Yes.
feels that bad for me, you know?
Yeah.
That's why we
Yeah.
get along so well.
Exactly. Are you an oldest daughter by chance?
I am not. I'm a middle child.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm a middle child. Yeah. And I'm definitely a middle child.
Rebecca, if you could go back to Rebecca going through infertility without Santino,
Mm.
um, just in the thick of it, what advice would you give yourself? Is there any advice that you can think of?
Oof. Wow. I would say to go to therapy,
Oh, yeah. Good one.
find a therapist because you can talk about it to whoever until you're blue in the face. But find a therapist or like a psychiatrist that specializes in women going through fertility treatments and unexplained infertility or whatever type of fertility,
Mhm.
and go to some support groups. I went to one support group and I think I should have gone back. It's not like I felt so jaded, but I was like, oh, this just isn't for me. I don't think I can do this again. But I wish that I had gone back because I think the more I would go, the more maybe I would feel better about everything that I was going through. And I would be among people that are in the same exact boat as me.
Yeah.
But definitely seeing a therapist and you can rely on as many people and you can talk about it, but you got to find somebody that just really gets what you're going through.
Yeah. And can actually help you work through it.
Exactly. Exactly. I would, my mom was such a wonderful support throughout all of this. She's an awesome grandmother. I, I would talk to her about all these things that I was going through, and she would just feel so bad for me, and she'd be like, I wish there was something that I could do for you and that I could just magically get you pregnant, and I think it's even more frustrating. It was frustrating for her as a mother seeing her daughter
Yeah.
suffering, going through infertility, and her being like, I can't do anything. There's not
Yeah.
one thing I can do for her. Where as a mom, we want to solve everybody's problems. This was
Yeah.
the one problem she couldn't solve for me. And, and she did a really great job just showing support to me. But, it was that frustration where she's like, I wish there was something I could do for you.
Yeah. I think now that we're actually mothers, we
Mm-hmm.
can feel their feelings so
Oh,
much
yeah,
better.
absolutely. I 100% agree. When they're upset, I'm upset because it's just heartening when you see them so like
Yeah.
upset, unless they're really doing something naughty and that like,
Yeah.
and they're like doing
I
something
still
where
feel bad after a little bit. After I like
I,
get stern with them, I'm like, but no, I love you so much. Don't do
I
it.
know afterwards I'm just like, oh, give kisses to mama.
Yeah. I
Mm.
think a little bit of like how crazy, not crazy, how indolent we are, like how indulgent we are with our kids is because how hard we try to have them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I 100% agree with you on that. I think after even I had him, I even really tried hard. I've always been an impatient person, and I really tried hard to even work on my patience. I'm like, I don't want to lose my what on you when you're like doing something not. I want to be able to like take a breath for myself and be like, okay, this is what I want you to do. And I think like you said, like we indulge them more because they're such a blessing to us
Yeah.
that we don't take it. Not that anybody, and even people who get pregnant like in a snap, like of course I'm sure they don't take their pregnancies and their births for granted. But I think there's just something to say about the women who go through infertility and going through all of these treatments that we don't take a day for granted with our babies. Like they're our everythings. They're our lives. They're, our reasons for living.
Yeah. We went through so much to get them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any resources that you would want to share? Any podcasts you listen to, any books you like, any accounts you follow that you think would be helpful to someone going through it right now?
This podcast is very helpful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. This podcast is very, very helpful. I wish that I did more. And this is also for thinking back. I wish that I listened to more podcasts. I wish that I read a little bit more about it. I was going on the internet constantly, but like, how much can you Google until like you're like all Googled out? And
Google hated to see me coming.
I know. Every 5 minutes I'd be like, "Oh, something's going on here. Let me type it in and see what's going on." But there'd be like a list of things.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Oh, well, this doesn't really match me." But I wish that I listened to more podcasts about it, and I think that this podcast will help women who are trying to conceive and will give them that outlet that they need to listen to these stories. And, whether they're already pregnant or on their journey or in the middle of their journey, at the end of their journey, just starting out, I think this is a wonderful podcast for them to listen to and find that support group.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. That's why I started
You're welcome,
it.
of course. I love that you started this. I think this was when you told me the idea and that you wanted to have me. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, I'm so honored. But I was like, I honestly, I don't think there were any podcasts that really talked much about this. So
there's a few, but most of them are like, there's some that are story-based, but a couple of them, most of the ones that I've come across, and I could just be a bad searcher, are like some medical advice or like experts coming on. And have you ever heard, well, you probably haven't, but there's this podcast that I love called The Birth Hour.
Okay.
And in it, they tell their birth stories, and I'm obsessed. Always listen to them.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I love hearing that stuff. That's awesome.
It's the best. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Oh, love it.
So I was like, "Where's the birth hour for fertility? I just want to hear women's stories." And I couldn't sleep one day just thinking about it, trying to find it. And my ADHD hyperfocus was like, "Do it yourself."
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Thank you. I did all the work for it, and I put a Google form out asking if people wanted to speak on the podcast or would be interested in listening to it.
Awesome. I love that.
I went to sleep, and I thought, like, I got it off my chest. No one wants this. Like, I can be okay now. Woke up and there were so many responses, and I was like, now I actually have to do this.
That's awesome. That's just, it's like God telling you, this is what you got to do now. Yeah. This is going to be part of your journey. I love that.
It's really fun. I'm having a great time just talking to so many different women, learning so much. And it's healing for me because we're in the middle of trying for our third. So
wow. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, I love that.
Thank you. Fingers crossed for us, please.
I know. How is that going for you?
All the testing. We're in the testing stage.
We're in the testing. Okay, that's where you are. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't really want to be pregnant right now, but I also know that I don't get that luxury of choosing too much because if I push it off too much, it might not ever happen. So it's like better to get on it.
That's how I feel at 39 years old. I feel, I could maybe wait, but I gotta do it now. If I don't do it now, not saying that not putting that out there. Many women get pregnant in their 40s.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. For me, I'm just like, I don't want to wait too long.
Yeah.
I just want to get back in there.
Yeah.
And see what can happen and try and just get a feel of like what my body is, because bodies change.
Yeah.
My body is clearly not the same body after I had Santino.
My blood work can attest to that. My blood work's like, you are not in your 20s anymore. Move on.
Yes, get it. It's just crazy how the body just changes. It's like, nope,
Yeah.
now you're gonna go through all different stuff, and it's wild, you know. I know when we had done that IVF cycle after Santino and it wasn't working, and we had tried a couple of times and it just wasn't working, and they had said to us, well, you can just keep doing IUIs or you can do a donor egg. I really thought long and hard about the donor egg. You know, I talked to my mom about it. Obviously talked to Paul about it, and you know, we really came to the conclusion that that's not our journey.
Yeah.
You know, that's just not part of our journey. And I said, you know what, Paul? I said, this isn't meant to be right now. Let's just stop. Let's wait a few years and let's come back to it. And that's what we're doing right now. Because it doesn't matter how old he is.
Yeah.
He,
That pisses me off.
he
No
can
offense.
have like,
Yeah.
you could be like Al Pacino having a baby at like 82.
I know I shouldn't get mad about it, but I do get mad about it.
I do. I get mad about it too.
Yeah.
I do. And I always say that to myself, well, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You can have a baby whenever you want.
Yeah. I think also having a baby affects your body so much. So that could be like a thing because we're stressed out taking care of our kids. Like we love them to death, but they're stressful.
Oh, they totally are. They
Yeah.
totally are. And it's especially with that stress of even raising an autistic child,
Oh yeah.
a nonverbal child. You know, at this point I thought that Santino would be saying, "Mama, I love you. Mama, I want this," you know, but you know, when he points, you know, he communicates in his way. Like I speak Santino. I speak Santino. I know
you're
what
fluent in another language.
I'm exactly. Oh, I am very fluent in a whole other language.
Yeah.
And you know, but that carries a lot of stress on me because I'm, you know, and then in my head I'm like, I would love to be pregnant again. How is this going to handle with Santino? Is this going to make him regress a lot? Is this going to be even more like, obviously it's going to be very overwhelming and very different, you know, but like what is going to happen when another baby comes into the situation? So, but I always try to, you know, we can always think about like, this negative is going to happen. Negative, negative, negative. I try and think of the positive and being like, he'll have a brother or sister.
Yeah.
We'll have a second baby. You know, it would be such a great feeling to just have one more. You know, fingers crossed. Hopefully it happens. And if not, like I said, like I always say, we have our golden boy. We got our $1 million baby.
Yeah. Oh, I always joke like my kids are the most expensive thing I've ever done.
They're so expensive.
Yeah.
So expensive. So expensive. So high maintenance.
So high maintenance.
Nothing but the finer things in life for these little toddlers.
Honestly,
like, I'm still wearing like a t-shirt from like years ago where like they have all new wardrobe. And he'll have another new wardrobe. He'll have another new wardrobe for school. And I'm just like, oh, like I'll just keep wearing the same tees. It's all good.
I don't even
important.
Honestly, I just want my kids will be looking adorable and presentable and beautiful, and then I'll be behind them. Who's that? Who's the one from Lord of the Rings? My precious Gollum. I look Gollum in the background. Yeah, I like my precious. They look so good. So, yeah.
That's so good. Oh my God, Gollum! I can't handle Gollum.
Literally, I'm not even kidding. The only reason that I look presentable is I've started to like sort of take care of myself while I'm doing the podcast. I'll like do my face and whatever, just so I don't look hit on camera. But yeah, that's exactly how it is.
Well, you look absolutely lovely.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, I feel the same way. I look like just grunge in this, but like Santino's like in his cute little shorts, cute t-shirt, little bucket hat, sunglasses.
Oh my God, like, yes.
My hair's like this.
I'm so lucky.
You look so cute.
My son will put on sunglasses, and I don't know why. I just think it's the cutest thing in the world.
Oh my God, it's tiny glasses. That's what it is. Like when I
He
see little kids wearing glasses, I'm like, oh, how cute are you right now?
Idris needs glasses. He's getting them this Thursday, and I'm just
Oh,
like, I can't
send
be
a
mad at
pic,
him
send
when
a
he's
pic, send a pic of him.
I cannot be mad at him when he's wearing glasses. He can be being the biggest A, and I'll, like, be like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, you're so cute," just because of the glasses, and now he's got a free pass for
Oh,
life, it seems like.
he's gonna get away with everything now because he's gonna be
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, are you mad at me now, Mama?
Can't say no to Harry Potter over there.
Oh God, no, you can't. It's that Harry Potter vibe. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, thank you, Rebecca, so much for coming on. It was great talking to you, and
Oh,
thank you for
same
sharing
here.
your story with everyone. I'll link everything, we mentioned on the show notes page below so everyone can look into it.
Yay.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I hope that my story, I know I can talk a little discombobulated, like, oh, let me backtrack, let me
No,
do this. But I hope that there's somebody out there that hears my story and is like, oh, wow, and it inspires them maybe to join a support group or find a therapist or just, listen to the story. And afterwards, they're like, wow, I don't feel so alone anymore. Like this person gets me, so I hope that this story reaches somebody.
oh, definitely. Also, Rebecca, I forgot to ask, where can
Yeah.
people reach out to you if they want to connect?
Oh my gosh. They can reach out. I'm on Facebook. Just type in Rebekah Battersby or Rebekah Pisano. I'm on there. On Instagram, I'm at Rebekah Deloro.
Why do you have so many
D.
last names?
I know, Mike. I know.
Sorry.
Deloro Battersby is my maiden name.
Okay.
Pisano's my married name, and Deloro is my middle name.
Sorry.
It's like I just want to have little different identities wherever I am. But you can see me. So it's Delauro and
Okay.
Rebekah. So Rebekah Deloro on Instagram. And yeah, feel free to ever message me, DM me. I'm happy to talk to anybody that is on a fertility journey, whether it being the first, second, third, fourth, doesn't matter. I love talking. Clearly, you know that about me. I love talking and, just to show support. And that's what it's all about. Just showing women support. We need it now.
Definitely. Well, thanks again. I'll link Rebecca's information down below. And thanks
Yes.
for tuning in.
Thank you.